Awesome. All right, so are you guys excited to discover, develop, and profit from the dormant and unused social assets in your life? Because I'm super pumped. It took me a while to sort of realize that like relationships become assets, which is like so cool, and it's like ridiculously powerful. And it just kind of like changes everything when you can apply that in life situations and take like huge amounts of action that just have a massive impact on like everything you do, which is awesome. So I'm super excited. Let's get into like the core, the foundation, and the beginning of the book, which is like how to get the most out of this course, out of this book, out of these trainings, like everything that you need. Because like, social skills are interesting, right? Like with success and with any kind of like training, like with stocks and stuff, like you learn like the head and shoulder setup, and then like it, right? And then you just apply it. It's like basically the same, no matter like it's always going to be a head and shoulder setup. But with social skills, it's cool. It's like, let's go over the computer, and like you learn it at the beginning, right? And after you like have this initial learning, it goes up and up and up and up and up, and it just keeps increasing in power, like over and over and over again, because you start to apply it, and then when you apply it, right, like you learn so much more, and so it's so powerful. And like you just need to have a desire, okay? Like literally, if you look at like the most successful people on this planet, the only thing that like indicates that they'll be successful, it's not like their education, it's not their background, it's not their initial wealth, although that can help a lot with that. But it's one thing, and it's desire. Desire is really what gets you there. And so like the goal, right, is to be super awesome and super hyped and super enthusiastic and have a ridiculous amount of desire to absolutely crush it. And like once you do that, like it's so much easier, right? And so the desire is key. And so you guys have shown desire, right? Because you're at this course and you're going through this content. And so like because of that, like you have the desire to what? You have the desire to learn. And the desire to learn turns into the desire to do, and the desire to do turns into the desire to master, right? So it's this curve, right, where you start at the top, and you're learning so much stuff, and you start to apply it, and you do it, and then you get to mastery, which is like the goal. And so that's really what I like want to get you guys super growth hacked on here, is going through this growth curve and just like absolutely crushing it. And so it's important that like to get the most out of it, you have to be focused on like this desire, right? Because if you don't have desire, like it just won't happen. So like as you're like going through this book and you're going through this course, like take a sec, right? And he says to like literally read the chapters like multiple times. And when I first read this book, that's exactly what I did. And what he recommends is like at the beginning, there's this really awesome book, right? And so you go through the chapter, just like really huge bird's eye view. You finish it. You take a minute to like reflect on it and go through it, and then you go back, you go really in detail, and you look at the facts, you look at the figures, you look at the specifics, and you like keep developing this understanding that you have. So at the beginning, it might sort of start to grow, and then you go back for the second time, right? And as you go back for the second time, you have more and more details. And so like this first time is help you get acquainted with it, and then the second read through, the third read through, and the fourth read through plus, right? Is to really get that deep understanding, because as soon as you have that, like it's so much more powerful, and everything changes because you can like exactly what's going on, exactly what you want to do, and exactly how you're going to crush it, which is like the coolest thing ever, right? And so really powerful method there for going through really any book, especially ones that like, I mean, this guy, he's been working on this stuff like literally his entire life, right? Like he started like at ground zero, and he's just been working so hard, been in front of so many people to develop the social skills he needed in his life. He's working sales for soap, sales for a car manufacturer, guys, sales in New York, because sales, right, you're in front of so many people, and he started at nothing, and he went up this social ladder to do tons of sales. And what sales equals is people, right? You can have the best salesman in the world, but without people, who are they going to sell, right? It's not worth anything unless you have these connections, unless you have these people that you can work with and you can like be friendly with and connect with. And as soon as that happens, like everything skyrockets, right? Because it's like you're like maybe you're like the best salesperson in the world, or maybe you're like really good at whatever it is that you do. And so you're like a car, right? and you're like, you've got the whole thing set up, you got the whole base, you got everything. You've got like this super awesome V8, and it's just absolutely killer. But what do you need? Well, you need fuel, right? And so these people are like the fuel that goes into your gas tank, and it fills up and fills you up and it fills you up, and it fuels you doing what? It fuels you going forward. It fuels you growing. It fuels you having the success that you want in your life. And because you need like people, right? Like I can record as many courses as I want, but it's not going to matter if like there's no people to fuel the growth, right? And so like you can spend as much time as you want building this, and that's probably like what you do, right? You go to school, you go to work for a really long time, you get really, really good at one thing, and you build that car, you build that engine, and then what? You need people, right? Like in financial markets, it doesn't do me any good if I know how to like trade really, really well, if like literally nobody is trading stocks. So like if there are like, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands of stocks, and the volume, right? The amount of shares traded for each stock is zero. Like if the volume is zero, then the stock's not gonna freaking move. And if the stock's not gonna move, if the volume's zero, what's that mean? Well, it means that like you're not gonna make any money, right? You need people in all markets, in all careers, in all instances. Everything stems from people. And so that's really the goal here, right? Is to have that really, really deep connection with others, and to start to get in front of people, because people, like literally everything that you want is in the hands of somebody else, whether it be cash to buy something that you're selling, or whether it be like a stock or an investment. Like somebody else has to sell you that investment. Somebody else has to sell you that stock. And so, or someone else has to, like if you want to get in real estate, right? Like someone's got to sell you that house. Like if you can master people, you can get anything you want in life, because everything you want is in the hands of somebody else already, right? Like there are billionaires and millionaires that just want to blow tons of money. Went to this museum, and in this museum there's this huge display, this huge exhibit, okay? And on this exhibit is this like massive, masterfully crafted like golden oak wooden bed, and it's just beautiful, and like, oh my god, it's probably like, literally like hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on a bed, and it was just insane. It's from like the Vanderbilt mansion, and then next to it is this chair. This chair is like made out of like crystal diamond. It's like insane. It's one of those beautiful chairs I've seen in my life, and it was like probably worth like hundreds of thousands, or like it's just insane amounts of money. And then next to it, right, there was this dresser, and this dresser was like the same, like finishing, the oak. I mean, everything was so beautiful, and it was so well crafted and so well done. And it was all commissioned by Vanderbilt. They paid like this artist like a ridiculous amount of money to go and make all of this furniture for his home and for his mansion. And like this guy, right, you got to remember, like this artist, his entire, like a vast majority of the work that he did in his career came from working for people that had tons and tons of money. So you got to understand, like no matter what you're doing, if it's art, if it's trading, if it's investing, if it's like normal work, employment, or whatever, right? Like no matter what career field you're in, everything that you want, other people have it. Like you want to get a boss to give you a raise, right? It's all about your ability to like connect with people and be their friend, because people will do nice things for people that they like. Like these guys like this artist, and so they gave him a ton of money to make these like cool pieces of art. And so it's the same with like literally anything that you want to do in life. Like everything, someone already has it, and you just need to win them over, or like connect with them, right? And make those friends and make those connections, and build that mastermind and that group that's going to allow you to work towards that goal, work towards that success. And it's just so powerful. So that's like huge takeaway from here. And so sort of as you go through this, and as you apply each chapter and you review it, just make sure that you have that in mind, and you know that like, okay, well, like how can I use this information? How can I use this knowledge in my world, in my career, in my life? And think, okay, like, you know, where can I use this, right? How can I use this? And like think about like the best case scenario. Like if you use this, right? If you use like some sort of information or some sort of trick, or you're able to like win over like, or just make really good friends with like just a couple of people, like how would that increase your life happiness? How would that increase your wealth? How would that like fundamentally change every single aspect of your professional life, personal life, like all of that, right? It all stems from your ability to win friends and influence people, which is so powerful. And so that's like why you want to like go deep as you're reading this book, and as you're sort of going through this course, like pause, right? And think like, how can I apply? Because application is like the biggest thing. And I've gone through this book like many times. Why? Because you always learn more. You always like get things from it, and you always figure out new ways to apply what's in it, which is just so powerful. And so like yeah, so really cool, awesome stuff, and you gotta make sure you have your copy of it because it changes everything. It's just awesome. So yeah. So stop, highlight, whatever. Like you guys look at this book, right? Tons and tons of highlights, and like these probably don't mean anything to you, and that's totally okay, right? Because it's all based on what works for you. But like, I remember, I used to have this limiting belief that like, I shouldn't write in books because if I write in books, then they'll be destroyed, and I can't sell them or whatever, right? But what I realized is that like I would get maybe like this much information out of a book when I just read it. But if I annotated it, if I like seriously just like wrote down stuff, like whenever something connected, I like just took notes, even if the notes didn't mean anything, even if I never read the notes again in my life, just by having that pen and going through it, I became much more involved in the book, right? The learning process was significantly deepened because like when you write anything or when you put the pen to paper, it changes everything. You learn so much more. You get so much out of it than you would ever get just by just going through it. So as you go through this course, like take notes, even if you don't think the notes matter, the notes help you understand, the notes help you like get through the concepts, and it's so true for like reading or for courses or anything, right? Like if you're writing stuff down, you're gonna get it. Because like you learn by doing, right? And what sucks is like people forget things so easily. Like Carnegie, Dale, he like spent 2 years writing this book on public speaking. And like as he finished this book, he was like constantly referring back to it because he literally forgot what he wrote in his own book. And it's so true. I remember like when there were like a lot of finals and a lot of things going on at the end of high school, like I couldn't really trade 9 to noon just because like I was in school, right? And so like for like a month, I was out of the trading game. I was out of the mentality. I was out of the gusto, out of the game. And like, I guess I'd get a little rusty, right? And so like same thing with Dale, right? Like he's reading his own books. Like I literally spent probably like the last week of school. Like all I did was I would go and I would just read my own book. People thought I looked like a total weirdo. Like, why are you reading your own book? But it's like, dude, you forget things so easily. And I was like going over my notes and remembering like, oh, okay, yeah. And I've been doing this for like literally 2, 3, 4 years, like years and years. I've been doing this, but like you forget things if you're not doing them, and so it's important to sort of like get a really good, great, like awesome understanding of something, and then once you have that understanding, right, over time you want to apply it and grow it. And if there's ever like a moment where you start to just accidentally forget something, just come back, review, and then proceed to that next level of success, that next level of impact, which is like so powerful, and it's true in like all aspects of whatever you're doing, which is like awesome, right? Because you have to just keep crushing it, keep reviewing it, because learning is like an active process, and you learn by doing, by reviewing, you learn by taking advantage of opportunities, and not really trying to like, this is like a habit, right? So you're not just acquiring new information, you're actually like forming a habit of learning, and continuing to grow and succeed over time, which is like so powerful, and it all stems from like your ability to grow and have massive levels of impact and success with whatever you do, which is like super cool, right? Like really awesome. And so you want to make sure that like you form like the actionable habit. Like I don't know if you guys have read this book, but it's so good. It's called The Power of Habit, and it's freaking insane. And I'll probably do a book review below or something. But like it's the whole idea that with the power of habit, you can have anything happen in your life. And you can really have like any amount of success you want, like 10 times faster. Because what? Because it's a habit, right? If you're doing the same thing over and over again, taking consistent and constant action to realize the success that you desire, all of a sudden, what? It's like a bajillion times easier to have that impact and to have that success and to have that growth that you desire in your life. Because it's a habit, right? You're doing the same thing over and over, like trading 9 to noon. Make it a habit to trade 9 to noon, and like free up your schedule and make it happen, and you're gonna have huge levels of success, right? Like that's so cool, right? That's so powerful, and it all stems from your ability to do it over and over again with constant application. We're gonna look at a story pretty soon with like one of the presidents, FDR, right? He knew like 50,000 names. He knew all these names because he was always applying his strategies and his techniques to learn people's names and constantly applying his strategies and going over them over and over again, and just always renewing his mental base, his mental knowledge, his power head. Like his mind was constantly being refreshed over and over again, and it led to like massive success and massive amount of friends, massive amounts of connections with others, because he always knew the other person's name, which is so powerful, and we'll get to it so much more later, but like this is key, right? And it's just so important that you're constantly applying these things, and what's cool is like as you apply what's in this book, wherever you're at right now, like that's really cool. Like you're probably like the best ever, to be honest. You're probably like way up here. Most people are starting out like way above where I started, which is like awesome. You guys are killer. But there's so much headroom up here, and like a lot of times people don't even realize it, like they can get this high, and they just think that like this is the ceiling. But it's this fake ceiling that people put on you. But as you start to learn this, right, and as you start to approach this ceiling, all of a sudden there's going to be a point right here where you break through the ceiling, be it through habits or doing really, really good things, and like having super powerful impact and growth from like this stuff, right? And so as soon as you break through here and you get to this new profound, like prolific level, everything changes, right? Because you've this whole new area of your life that like you never thought possible, you never even knew about, right? And I never knew about this ever, right? It's this idea of like, you know, perfect tranquility and happiness and life balance. And like I remember I used to have so much pent-up stress, and it shows like when you meditate, right? I meditate like twice a day, and I have so much content on meditating. It's so powerful. And like the way it used to work is I would constantly have like tons of like stress and like mental vibrations and like really messed up internal thoughts, and like I would get like all this pressure in my head, and it was just bad like mental vibes before I realized these secrets, and I got in this prolific zone. And what's cool is like as soon as I got in this prolific zone, all of a sudden, like I still meditate twice a day, always, right? But instead of having to like spend like 10-15 minutes doing it, to get rid of all these negative vibes, negative energy, negative thoughts, negative emotions, now that I've been able to like get into this prolific zone, it's so much faster, right? Because there's nothing to get rid of, there's nothing to throw out, there's nothing holding me back, right? And I'm like in the zone. I'm like constantly at my peak state because I understand like these concepts, how to win friends and influence people, and then you can apply those to yourself. You can apply those to the way you treat yourself and the way you treat those around you. And if you can surround yourself with a power-based people that are so like-minded and so amazing, that you have huge impact with them, all of a sudden, right? Like there's no stress. Like literally, like it's just insane, because I look at people and they have like, you know, this negative image, and they've got like their mind, they've got all this stress coming in. But like as soon as you understand this, you're gonna learn exactly like how to just take this and have like this bubble around you, right? And now all of a sudden, right, like all this stress, all this negativity, all these like bad feelings, they just bounce off, and they don't get to you, right? You have this shield, and the shield of friends, the shield of people, the shield of those that care about you and that will like stick with you literally for your whole life, which is so powerful, changes everything. And now, like when you meditate or when you try to reflect, like this is a clear, tranquil, happy, perfect mind that's constantly in the best place it can be. And when you're in your peak state, when you're in like the best place you can be, like your output is like insane. Like this is where you were before, and this is where you are now. It's huge, right? Like this is, you know, hundreds of times greater, right? You have such a greater impact on those around you because you're able to like leverage the insane power of complete and total mental tranquility and happiness. I mean, this is like game-changing stuff. It's just awesome. I like, seriously, this is so cool. And as we start to go through this whole book, it kind of all stems from your ability to have that total mental clarity. And if you're struggling with that, or you're struggling with like this meditation, or you're struggling to like get this tranquility and get into this like perfect mental state, there's this really powerful program that I use like literally constantly. It's one of the best things ever. It's called Manifestation Magic, and it is like insane. I'll link my review to it, or like a link to it or something below. They have this huge presentation they'll do where they'll kind of like show you like the insane power of like having the right vibrations in your mind, and using those to like change everything, right? And to always get into this peak state. It's so powerful. And it's really like changed. Like before I had it, like I was doing meditation, I was going through it, and it was awesome, but I didn't really get like that total and complete brain dump of negativity. And then I wasn't in this peak state all the time with like, it was always positive, and the meditation was so much easier because I was always happy, I was always clear. But as soon as like I went through this, all of a sudden everything changed, right? And it went from negativity, it went from like bogus and just rambled crap in my head all the time to this total amazing peak state where like you're so clear and you're so happy with everything that you're doing that like none of the bogus fills up your mind, and it's all clarity, and it's all directed directly towards your purpose, your mission, your life desire and passion is just completely fulfilled, and you're always moving towards it on your master plan. by having this total like clarity, right? Which is just so awesome. So those are both like, it's just amazing resources that are just game changers. So highly recommend. It's just awesome stuff. So now that you got that understood and you sort of realize like the importance of reviewing and over again and having these astonishing results, let's move over to the last like important thing, just like the one last thing to understand as we go into this book and as we go into this training, right? Like obviously you want to review it and you want to apply it and you want to note take and understand exactly what you're going through and stop, these principles, right? Because that's what these are. These are principles. I can turn those into actions, right? Now you can turn those into like real relationships and real connections and real like doings, right? Because the instant that happens, you can grow this really huge base with others, and like that base would change everything because you come together, and as soon as you come together, like you so many more and more new people, right? And you have these deep connections that fundamentally change everything, right? Through this concept of like the mastermind and being with others, right? And it's so cool because like you've got to make that connection the instant that you do, the instant that you can like, take a minute and step back and look at where you are, like in a very calm and understanding perspective, and say, okay, well, this is what's going on right now, and this is really good. Here's how I can improve it, right? Like I can bring this guy in, I can bring this girl in, whatever needs to happen to expand this power base. The instant that you can like look at your life sort of like objectively, right? Sort of just temporarily from a third person point of view. And maybe this is like once a day. Like, so for me, I have like this daily journal and I'll go through it every single day and look at what I did. Just totally neutral, totally unbiased, like pen to paper. This is what happened. This is why it happened. These are the results that I had for the day. That's a really powerful way to do it, is using a daily journal. I also know a lot of people that have like weekly reviews. I'm not as big of a fan of weekly reviews unless you have a daily journal, because daily journal, like, you forget things really quickly. And so like if I miss a day, like I totally forget like a bunch of the details of the previous day. And so when you get to that weekly review, if you're like looking at everything that you're doing and you're trying to figure out what are the action steps, what has really happened like right now in this week that's going to help me move towards this goal and this desire that I have for like the next year, the next month, or the next decade, right? Like as you're looking into the future, it's super helpful to have like a written record of what you're doing, and it's just so powerful. And so that's why you always want to be like self-examining, which is like the coolest thing ever. It's so powerful. And it just destroys your mistakes, right? Because when you self-examine, what are you doing? You're going over things and you realize what you did wrong. You realize what you did right. And you can focus on what you did right, and you can sort of cross out what you did wrong. So then in the future, instead of having all these negative things that you would have had if you didn't examine yourself, all you have are positive successes. And like over time, like you might have like a lot of success at the beginning, but maybe you have also some failures at the beginning. So the goal, right, is to sort of decrease the amount of failures until it's like all success, or at least like a vast majority of it. And then that changes everything, right? Because when you don't have failures, right, when you cut off this negativity, you cut off the stuff that sucks, all of a sudden all you have is positivity to focus on. It like will just explode your self-confidence and your ability to connect with people and win them over and be their friends and have an impact, which is so powerful. So as you're going through this process, like make it a game, make it something that you're pursuing and you're passionate about cutting out the crap and focusing on what works and like winning friends, right? And make a game, like figure out, if you're violating principles, how you can stop it, right? And cut it out and focus on the success, focus on the impact, and focus on the growth, because like everything's just a game, right? And if you approach life as a game, like for me, like, right, like with like trading stocks is like super serious and you're managing investments and asset management and all that stuff. But for like to me and like to so many professionals that are like at the peak of their field, they see everything that they do as a game because it's so fun to them, right? And they're putting in way more hours than most people, like as you get to high performers, and yet they see it as a game and they enjoy it, and that enjoyment translates into extremely like high levels of performance and impact of what they do because they see what they play, like top athletes, right? Like it's a game. And so it applies to all aspects of your life. Like if you can take these principles and take this journey that you're going through and say like, oh, this is then all of a sudden it's like ridiculously easier to have the impact that you want, the success that you want, the like fulfillment that you desire, right? Because you're in the system, you're in the process, and you're going through this journey just like it's a game. So you can check up every single week and say, okay, well, how are we doing on the game? Happy face, smiley face, positivity, growth, right? This mindset that you always succeed and that you have this massive level of growth because you're playing this game and you're getting better and better and better and better and better and better and better at this game. Just like anything else in life. And as soon as you can keep your notes and start to seriously this is this part at the end of the book, and it's so cool. They have these pages, right? And you just sort of write down all the successes and all the growth and the amazing things that have come from learning this content. And so I highly recommend you tally up and physically put on paper the successes that you've had and the newfound friends you've made and the changes that you've had in your personality, because as you write stuff down and you go through this process, all of a sudden it's so much easier to build up that self-confidence, and that self-confidence is literally the key to the success and to your growth and to your belief and to everything, right? It all comes from your ability to just explode your people think I'm ridiculously weird because I'm one of the only people that they know that's constantly hyped, constantly screaming, constantly at the top of my game. Why? It's all because of self-confidence, and a lot of that comes from insanely great success with assets and investing in stocks. But a lot more of it comes from the power base and the connections that I have with others, and that's really the powerful change that will fundamentally shift everything as you start to go through this and you start to realize how this power base can change everything. Because I get so much more excited when I'm speaking with people that I love and that the connections that I have that make me super happy and passionate. That makes me so much more excited than any professional success or any stock pick or any investment could ever do, right? Because you can have all the success in the world, but if you don't have somebody to share it with, if you don't have a group of people that actually care, then what's the value, right? And some people won't understand that perspective because maybe they aren't at that position yet, where they have this group of people that seriously care, and they always feed out positivity, and they spit back this insane positive growth mindset that changes everything. But my goal, right, is that you'll start to create friends and you start to build up this group, because it changes absolutely freaking everything. And so that's the goal as we're going through this process here, right, is to have this huge impact and to really succeed. It all kind of comes from these people, and so it's so powerful, and I'm just so excited to be going through this with you, because people they change everything. And a lot of people, they don't focus on that, or they focus on themselves, and they think, oh, I'm the only one that matters. But in reality, you can be so much more powerful with others, and it's just insane. And the change is so radical, and I know that you'll see it so quickly the instant that you start to apply this information. So that's the goal here, and that's sort of where we're going when we get into the book. It's so cool, so powerful. I'm super excited to go through with you guys. So with that said, I really appreciate it. I will see you guys in the next module. Go out there, crush it. Thank you, and have the best day ever. Woo! See ya.